All right, let's talk now to forensic investigator Pierre Gildenhuys. In fact, his full title is that of the head of forensic investigations at D&K Management Consultants. Pierre, it's good to have you with us here. So let's make this clear for the viewers. These people that are arrested turned what used to be a traditional beer factory into a drug manufacturing hub. So my first question to you is that, are you finding that this is common practice? Because this was at a farm, and according to the police, this is the third such bust in the province of Mpumalanga. Have farms become soft targets for these kinds of activities? Good evening. Thank you for having me. And I'll say that perhaps it is more the ruralness of the area, in my mind, in my opinion, that they like to be secluded. Obviously, you don't want to operate it in a busy area. You don't want to operate it in a city town where there's lots of eyes, lots of noses apparently sniffing around strange smells. I'm not sure how much I'm attributing to that, but certainly I think it's a strategic move. You are out of sight, out of mind. You can stay in the rural areas. The less people who see trafficking coming in and out, the better, I guess. And you use the word or the story of a smell as a joke, but in fact, it is what led police to this farm, because someone went to report a strange smell coming from the farm, only to discover that this is actually a drug lab. And it is also said that the police were able to arrest these individuals and this particular drug bust with an amount of 350 million rand. Let's talk about the 5 Maxicans. How would they have made it into South Africa, to your mind? Did they come here under false pretenses and then overstayed? Who knows? With our porous borders, it is extremely easy, I think, for criminal syndicates to penetrate. I mean, the average Joe on the street might need to make a plan, you know, bribe somebody, but you're talking about serious drug cartels. You're talking about serious criminals. We are seeing at the moment what's happening in our judicial system with our criminal syndicates seeming to have captured the police. There are commissions now about it. Everybody's talking about it. And if they can penetrate levels that high in the police, certainly a border gate between one country and another is certainly not a big issue. We would have to speculate on how they came into the country, whether it was, you know, through an airport or through a physical border post. That the investigation will have to show us. But I don't think it's difficult for them. And in fact, there's been numerous articles and numerous opinions that because, you know, the US is making it difficult for Mexicans to operate there, he's starting up things there, so they come here because it's relaxed. Why not? It's a perfect opportunity. In fact, while we talk about individuals who come to South Africa and not only conduct illegal activities here, the understanding is that these 5 Mexicans may possibly have been here for one or other reasons, but they came in the country legally, but they overstayed and decided never to return, only to learn later that this is clearly what they are involved in, because part of the charges against them, apart from drug manufacturing, is that they also face the contravention of immigration laws. That's the other charge. Let's talk about Mexico. What other nationalities are found in South Africa and are possibly drug carriers, if not the manufacturers? Well, it seems like our own South Africans are so entrenched in it that who's to say we should start with other countries? Let's start at home first, because there's South Africans involved. I mean, this is not the first drug bust of this kind, and I don't think it will be the last, and hats off to the police for that. Yeah. But I think whether you want to argue that the Mexicans or the Brazilians or whoever are coming over to teach our locals how it's really done,
I mean, we can joke about it, but it's a very serious thing. But our own people are getting involved, and it's the environment, our law and order in our own country makes it a nesting ground for crimes like this, and that's what we should focus on.
Well, you mentioned these countries. Let me tell you what the Daily Maverick has been reporting, and that is that they established that several drug breakthroughs in recent weeks have resulted in the arrests of not only South African individuals, but those from Mexico, case in point, Russia and Brazil. Now, matters involving the world's main producer of cocaine, Colombia, has also emerged.
Yes.
Are we on dangerous ground here?
I think we passed it. I think we've been in dangerous grounds for a very long time. Almost a year ago, it's roughly almost a year ago, there was a similar bust. A few months ago, there was a similar bust. How many of these farms, how many of these narcotic labs are they, whether it be in rural areas, whether it be in built-up market places where we all live? Who's to know how many there are still? That's why I say I give the SAPS the pat on the back, whether it was the smell or whether it was an informant or who knew how they got to know it was there. But regardless, hats off to them.
Yeah.
But I think the concern is, like you say, how deep are we in this? Yeah. And I think we passed the level of saying, are we in dangerous grounds? I think we're off the cliff already.
Finally, Pierre, transnational crimes, because that's what this is, a transnational organized crime. Are you finding, as a forensic investigator, that the police are indeed on top of this, but add to that they are working with their counterparts around the world? The word or the organization Interpol comes to my mind. How closely are these working together? We saw a conference recently that was held here in Cape Town, an Interpol conference. Does that give us hope that authorities are on top of it? Never mind what's happening at the Mpumalanga inquiry, because that's a cause for concern if police are mired in all of this.
You said it yourself, the Mpumalanga Commission is a call for concern. I would certainly hope, and I think every South African would certainly hope that the police are on top of things. Look, we deal with it ourselves. We investigate cases, and I know what the police mean when they say we don't know everything, we can't know everything. Yeah. Otherwise there would be no crime in our ideal world. We have to rely on people smelling things, and we have to rely on people talking. And as long as the community does their part, as long as we hopefully can trust a police system or a crime-busting system that does their job and are on top of things, hopefully we can move to a more stable position. But right now, as we stand, things are rocky. Things are not looking too sharp.
Yeah, it is a worry, Pierre. I've got to tell you, it is a worry. But there is hope on the horizon. The Minister of Home Affairs was at a conference recently and telling the delegates there that a system is about to be introduced in South Africa that can pick up when someone has arrived in the country but failed to leave on time. So we're going to have to leave the conversation there. Pierre Gildenhuys, he is Head of Forensic Investigations at D&K Management Consultants.